Shalom everybody, I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief brought to you by Lay of the Land. And I'm back in studio today after an incredible week spent with Mawitza Chaverot. Now, unfortunately, because of, I think, the weather, because it got really cold this week, I have got the flu. As you can hear, my throat is very sore. I'm struggling to speak a little bit, but a date with you guys is not one that I am going to miss, especially on a Thursday where we bring you your Mench and your moron. And the Mench of the week, very interestingly, was quite unanimous, and not one, but two audience questions, because I missed the opportunity this week to take your questions. So I am going to take a deep breath and get through it as best as I can. It is day 475. We have 94 hostages still being held by Hamas. So our first story is with regards to the International Criminal Court, the ICC. Now, in an interview with the Guardian newspaper in the United Kingdom, they have expressed a deep concern about the Trump administration's renewing of sanctions on their personnel and on their organization. Now, the ICC say that this could seriously hamper their investigations and bringing to justice war criminals and protecting the rights of victims. Now, the members of Congress in the previous administration also threatened sanctions against the ICC for the issuing of arrest warrants for Prime Minister Netanyahu and former Defense Minister Yuval, saying that it is an abuse of their jurisdiction as well as international law. Now, President Trump has renewed sanctions on the ICC, and the ICC say that this is an attempt to undermine their independence, impartiality, and importance. Meanwhile, last month, Congress passed by a massive vote, by a massive majority, the calls to sanction them, bearing in mind that these kinds of arrest warrants don't only just pertain to Israel, but also to possibly soldiers from the United States. Now, neither the US or the State of Israel are signatories to the Rome Statute, which is the foundational document of the ICC. So it really has no jurisdiction and is more of a political move. The new US Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, was sworn in, and his first phone call as Secretary of State was to Prime Minister Netanyahu, where he reaffirmed that the US will make a priority its support of the State of Israel. The Secretary of State also said that he looks forward to speaking to Prime Minister Netanyahu more about how to deal with the threats posed by Iran, as well as the prospects for regional peace. Israel is demanding that hostage Arbel Yahud is amongst those set for release this coming weekend. You can actually start to feel that the elation of last week's release of Doron, Emily, and Romy, you can feel that while that's still there is a growing anxiety for the next group of hostages that are set to be released on Saturday. Now, from our understanding, from what Hamas has said, there will be 4 female hostages that will be released, and Arbel, who was kidnapped from Kibbutz Nir Oz on the 7th of October, is believed to be held by Palestinian Islamic Jihad and not Hamas. Now, we don't know who is on the list. The list is expected to be given to Israel tomorrow, but we still have 7 female hostages that are being held by Hamas. And finally, Yuval Rafael will represent Israel at this year's Eurovision Song Competition. Yuval, who not only has a magnificent voice, is a survivor of the Nova Festival massacre, and her story is really harrowing and one that everybody should hear. I don't know if any of you saw the documentary about Nova. Her phone call to her father is in the opening segments where she says that she's in a migunit, one of the roadside shelters, and they're killing everybody. And her father says, Timeta, pretend that you are dead. And what she did to stay alive was she pulled the bodies over her to pretend that she was dead until rescue arrived hours later. We know that she will represent us magnificently, and we will all be standing behind her when she takes to the stage. So those are your top stories for today. Let's take a look at those audience questions. And the first one comes from Nechama, who I was told is 90 years old. Now, while I don't like to question a lady's age or reveal a lady's age, I just love the fact that we have an audience of all ages, all across the world. So Nechama asks, how does Hamas decide which hostages to release? What are their criteria? Well, what we do know is through the negotiations that we expect the hostages that are alive, especially women, children, and those severely ill, to be amongst this first batch of hostages to be released, the 33, although not all of them are alive. And the criteria we don't know. We don't know what the criteria is, so this adds, it really compounds the sense of anxiety that everybody is feeling here, because while we know who is on that list of 33, we don't know who will be released next and in what condition they are. And Hillary asks, how many hostages are not from October the 7th? Excellent question. So at the beginning of the week, Oron Shaul, his remains were recovered by the IDF during a clandestine operation and returned for burial. And out of all the hostages that are held in captivity by Hamas and other terror factions in the Gaza Strip, 4 were not taken from Israel on the 7th of October. 2 civilians, Avera Mengistu and Hisham al-Sayed, and 2 fallen soldiers, Hadar Golden and Oron Shaul, who has now been buried in Israel. And remember, if you have an audience question, please pop it in the comments section below or be in touch with us via our Facebook page or email. I had to think about that for a second. It seems that my brain is also addled today. So now for your Mench and Moron of the week. And I'll do the Mench first because this was virtually unanimous, and I always like to take consensus. And I always found it very interesting that people say, I'm not a supporter, but President Trump is my choice for Mensch of the Week for his support of the State of Israel. Well, we are also grateful to the Trump administration for their stalwart support of the State of Israel. And guys, your political beliefs or concerns is entirely your business. It's none of my business, and you're welcome to support whoever you want. There is no judgment here. And to our moron of the week goes to Dr. Tlaleng Mofokeng. She is the UN Special Rapporteur on the right to receive health services. And she's from South Africa. And she retweeted one of Prime Minister Netanyahu's tweet with the words F off. I'm not going to say the real word. I don't know if YouTube will allow it. And also, I'm trying to be a lady. She said F off Netanyahu. And she was called out by UN Watch's executive director, Hillel Neuer, for using that kind of language. He demanded some kind of sanction or discipline from the United Nations. And she went on to attack Hillel, calling him evil scum and evil scum white man. And she has since deleted her tweets, but I know that we keep receipts. Screen grabs are everything. So Dr. Tlaleng Mofokeng, that is not the behavior incumbent of anyone who holds any kind of office. It is not a good representative of the people of South Africa, and it's just downright appalling. It is racist, It is abusive and it's appalling, and you are our moron of the week. So guys, thank you for tuning in and bearing with me as I try and speak to you. Just a reminder that you can check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our Facebook page is at Lottle site. Our YouTube channel is right here at the Israel Brief. Like, share, subscribe. You guys know the drill. We're on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks, on Instagram at Rolene_Marks, on X at layoftheland5. So I wish you a blessed weekend, a wonderful weekend. Shabbat Shalom. God bless you all. And I will see you again, hopefully a lot more coherent and much better on Monday. Bye for now.